Welcome back to Olympus on Air, where we don't just tell myths, we live them. I'm Hermes, messenger of the gods, occasional trickster, and your guide through today's tale. Today's episode, a story of creation, betrayal, punishment, and fire. Joining me are two of the central players in this ancient drama, Prometheus, titan of foresight, and Zeus, king of the gods. Prometheus, Zeus. Thank you both for stepping into the ring today.
The truth demands telling, even when it burns. If we are to speak of what happened, let it be spoken clearly, not softened for comfort, nor twisted for pride.
Be careful, Prometheus. Truth spoken with venom is no better than a lie. You speak of pride, yet it was pride that drove you to steal what was not yours to give.
Tension's already crackling, like old thunderclouds. But before we leap into conflict, let's go back. Before the fire, before the chains, to the time when you two stood not as enemies, but as allies. It's easy to forget, but once you stood side by side. Prometheus, you didn't just defy Olympus, you helped build it.
In the aftermath of the Titanomachy, the great war between Titans and Olympians, the world lay shattered. I had stood with Zeus in that war, defying my own kin because I believed in his vision of a new order. When the dust settled, he and I worked together to rebuild what had been broken. I shaped humanity from clay, molded them with my own hands, fragile, yearning creatures with minds unlit. And Zeus, he granted them the breath of life.
They were a noble experiment. Fragile, yes, but spirited. I remember those early days well. Prometheus stood by me when others of his kind did not. His counsel helped guide the storm, and together we forged something rare. But even noble creations must be bound by limits. Without them, spirit becomes ambition, and ambition becomes ruin. Balance is the heart of the cosmos, and it cannot be ignored.
For a while, you watched over them together. Two proud creators.
I guided them, taught them the stars, the seasons, the art of healing. But they suffered, cold, hungry, afraid. When I asked for fire, for the gift that would ease their suffering, Zeus refused.
Because fire is not simply warmth. It is power. Power untempered brings ruin. They would destroy themselves and us.
So when the king withheld the flame, the Titan delivered it anyway.
I chose compassion over obedience.
Not many would dare to steal from Olympus.
I took a spark from the forge of Hephaestus, concealed within a fennel stalk. A small thing, yes, but with it, I gave humanity the means to warm their homes, forge their tools, and begin to rise beyond fear. It was a quiet flame, but it changed everything.
You stole destiny itself. You blurred the sacred line between mortal and divine.
I gave them the light to drive back the night, the tool to forge their own fate.
And with that spark, humanity was transformed. And so came the price.
Prometheus did not merely steal fire. He stole dominion. And in doing so, he unraveled the order I fought to build. He led mortals to believe they could grasp the tools of the gods, shape fate with their own hands, and challenge the divine hierarchy. Such rebellion could not be met with silence. I decreed his punishment myself. He was chained to the peak of the Caucasus, far from mortal eyes, where no mercy could find him. I summoned the eagle, my eagle, born of storm and hunger, to feast upon his liver, the seat of endurance. Each day, it tore him open. Each night, by my will, his body was made whole again. The pain was endless. That was the point. Not vengeance, but memory. A living warning carved into flesh. No one, not even a Titan, defies Olympus without cost.
I endured it not with regret, but with pride. For every village, for every whispered song, for every child born into warmth instead of cold, I would endure it again.
You chose rebellion over loyalty. When you stood before the fires of Olympus, you turned your back on the order we built together. You placed your faith not in the gods, but in fragile, fleeting mortals, as if they were worthy of divine gifts. You served them, Prometheus, and in doing so, you abandoned us.
I served the future, not for glory, not for vengeance, but because I saw what could be. I saw light in their struggle, hunger in their dreams, and I chose to give them the means to rise, even if it meant falling alone.
That choice cost you everything. And yet, here you are, still standing, still unbroken. But even the longest punishments must end. Tell us, Prometheus, how did freedom finally find you?
Heracles, son of Zeus, but a champion of mortals, came to my mountain. He slew the eagle. He broke the chains. A mortal with divine blood freed me.
Heracles had proven himself, not just through strength, but through loyalty and endurance. He fulfilled every trial set before him, never straying from his path. When he stood before me and asked for your release, I could not deny him. Even a king must keep his word, especially to a son who has earned it.
So in the end, it was humanity and their champions who proved the word of Prometheus's gift.
Tread carefully, Hermes. Mankind may flourish for a time, but fire alone does not make them wise. Prometheus gave them a spark, yes, but what they build with it, that remains to be judged.
Prometheus, Zeus. One last thought before we close the scroll on this story.
Humanity's greatness lies not in their obedience, but in their defiance, in their will to reach beyond what is given. I gave them fire, yes, but more than that, I gave them the right to dream dangerously. If they must struggle, let it be toward the stars.
And I have seen what becomes of unchecked striving. Civilizations rise, yes, but so do empires that forget humility. Fire creates and destroys. Order must stand as the boundary between ambition and ruin. I do not deny their spark, but I will always guard the flame.
Two visions, one daring to rise, one guarding the heights, and in between, the fragile flame we call civilization. Thanks for listening to Olympus on Air. If you enjoyed today's journey through fire and fate, spread the word, and maybe keep a little fire for yourself.